Hello and welcome to another video of Deathy Tech Thoughts. Today we're going to be putting two machines up against each other. One machine is going to be an AMD FX 8320 with a 970 GTX with 3.5 gigabytes of fast memory and zero point 0.5 of slow memory. And the Intel machine is going to be an i5 6600K with a GTX 1060 with 6 gigabytes. Both have 16 gigabytes of RAM, and both are using a mechanical hard drive, 72 RPMs. I do need to note that the i5 has DDR4, 2400 megahertz, as the AMD has a DDR3 at 1866 megahertz, I believe. We are not comparing these to see which one's better. What we're doing is we're putting two builds together to see how they perform and then look at possibly what the budget would be on these. Maybe even see if we would be worth buying. So without further ado, let's take a look at the benchmarks here. We'll start with The Witcher 3. Now, as you can see, both systems performed halfway decent. If you look at the AMD FX, with everything put on Ultra, The Witcher 3 gets in between 50 and 55 frames per second. Assassin's Creed Syndicate is a very tough game to run, and it averages between 25 and 35 on Ultra with the AMD settings. Far Cry ran at a respectable 60 to 75. Far Cry Primal at 40 to 55. The Intel machine ran at 50 to 70 with Witcher 3. Assassin's Creed Syndicate again is a tough game to run on Ultra without having a very high-end graphics card at 35 to 55, and the Far Cry ran at 85 to 100, so it was really no challenge, and Far Cry Primal was 80 to 100. Now I know these are large frame per second differences, but understand that like the uh, frames did differ quite a bit in certain areas of the games, so it was really tough to get an average. And unfortunately, Fraps does not play nice with XSplit, which is what I use to record the game footage. But if I had to guess, The Witcher 3 averaged about 55 frames per second on the Intel machine. Assassin's Creed averaged probably more closer to the low, probably about 40 frames per second. Far Cry 4 averaged probably about 90, in between 85 and 90, and Far Cry Primal stayed at about 90, 95 with the i5, and the with the FX series, the Witcher 3 actually kind of stayed towards the higher end at 55 frames per second, but with Syndicate, it kind of edged towards the bottom of the frames around 25. It was really tough to run on that machine, and as we know, the FX processor is not exactly great when it comes to single core performance, and that controversy with it not actually being an 8 core processor. We're not going to get into that in this video. Far Cry 4 actually ran well over 60 frames per second, probably averaged close to 70 on the FX system, and Far Cry Primal did pretty well. It was probably around 45-50 frames per second, more on the average side. Now, why did we do this? Why did I pin my machine, which was the i5, to my brother's older FX? Well, what I wanted to show is that, you know what, with all the knocks and complaints about the FX when it came out, a long time ago, I think the first FX came out around 2010 or 11-ish. I'm not quite sure. My brother put together this machine in 2014, and if you look at it today, it actually is still a very functional system. I mean, it'll play games at a respectable frame per second on Ultra. If we were to lower the graphics just a little bit to maybe high, though all four of those games would run over 60 frames per second with no issues. So that's what I was trying to get at with this video. So again, you ask, why did you even bother making this video? Well, if you're looking to build a gaming machine and you have very limited funds, I would highly suggest going with the FX 8320, at least until the Ryzen 3 comes out. The Ryzen 3 will probably blow the FX series away, when it'll be probably the same price, if not maybe a little more expensive, but not much. But the GTX 970 has really came down in price. We're talking 160, 180 bucks, which is fantastic for a graphics card of that caliber. I would highly suggest, if you're building a budget system, to go with something like that. Now, I know you're thinking, well, that might be kind of expensive, and you know what? It may well. If you're looking to build a system for about $500, I would highly suggest going with the FX series that my brother built back in 2014. You're looking at supposedly 8 cores. He has 16 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM, which would be no issues in acquiring in this day and age for a halfway decent price. Now, his system actually has something that mine doesn't. His actually has a 240 gigabyte solid state drive on top of his mechanical drive where he stores his games. My system did not. Now, you're thinking about pricing. Well, to be honest with you, I know you're thinking the Intel system cost more. Well, actually, it did not. My Intel system, when I put it together, cost $780. That's with the GTX 1066 gigabyte. It's with the terabyte hard drive, 16 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM, and an Intel i5 6600K with an MSI SLI Plus Z170 motherboard, which makes overclocking very simple and easy. So in the comments, if you're interested in us doing some other comparisons like this, that's fine. If you want to say, hey, this was kind of a stupid comparison, it makes no sense, there's no chance that the FX is going to keep up with the i5, that's fine too. But if you look at the frames per second, the FX actually did not do a bad job keeping up with the i5. So, with that being said, just be aware of that. If you're a budget builder, the FX series is still out there, and it's still a very capable processor. So don't discount it just because it's not a true octa-core, so they say. The FX 8320 does have 8 physical cores. Now, every 2 cores shares cache and also shares a pipeline to the floating point unit of the processor. That does not mean that it is not a capable processor, as you guys have seen in this video. So don't let people tell you it is not. Yes, I understand Intel's benchmarks blow it away, and I understand that most Intel processors are gonna be better gaming processors. But look at the price you're gonna pay for an FX compared to an i5 6600K. And then look at the frames per second we actually got with this video and the GPUs pinned together. Now I understand, yes, most games are GPU bound, but if you have a processor that cannot handle a lot of instructions per clock, it is going to bottleneck a game regardless of how good your GPU is. If you don't believe me, try putting an Intel Core Duo, maybe Q9400, with a 1080 GTX, and then let me know if that allows the 1080 to, reach its full capabilities. It will not. So, like I said, if you guys are interested in a good gaming build, I would definitely look at the AMD FX series or the Intel build that I put together. It's a little bit more expensive than what the AMD build would be, but it's, a very capable system as well, if not, obviously better. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed seeing the difference between the FX and the i5. I really enjoy doing this for you guys. If you guys have any comments, leave them in the comment section. If you liked it, like. If you didn't like it, dislike it, and let me know why. That way I have constructive criticism to work off. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.